I just wanted to ask, there are two players in NBA history with multiple MVPs, a defensive player of the year, and a finals MVP. One is Giannis, and the other is Michael Jordan. So Giannis has put himself into elite company with this finals win and with the finals MVP. So I wanted to ask you, do you think that Giannis is the best player in the NBA?
Let me put you on game.
To, I think that we may be contextualizing Giannis's game wrong. I think that a lot of people think of him as like a three or, to some extreme, like a big point guard. But I think if you
Yeah.
think of him as a power forward, I think his game makes a lot more sense. Like he doesn't need to shoot threes. He just needs to keep the defense honest from mid-range, and he needs to like continue to polish his post game. But if you think of him as someone like an AD, like his game is perfectly fine for the modern NBA, especially what you consider he offers offensively. But
Yeah.
before we move on to the Suns, I just wanted to ask, there are two players in NBA history with multiple MVPs, a defensive player of the year, and a finals MVP. One is Giannis, and the other is Michael Jordan. So Giannis has put himself into elite company with this finals win and with the finals MVP. So I wanted to ask you, do you think that Giannis is the best player in the NBA?
I think Giannis has earned that spot for the time being and has put himself in the position with the hardware that he's earned in getting the Larry O'Brien trophy as well as the Bill Russell Finals MVP trophy. He's been a model of consistency, and some say that this year he's actually had a better year than he did in his MVP years, but because you get MVP fatigue, people didn't want to give it to him. And you've seen that with other superstars in the past. I don't know if I think Michael Jordan was one of the few players that earned, league MVP, finals MVP, as well as All-Star game MVP in 96, right? But
It could be, yeah.
Besides that, there aren't too many players that get a chance to get MVP in the season as well as in the finals. It's really hard to do. And so yeah, Giannis was like this close to being able to do that. His season quality-wise was MVP-esque, but nevertheless, I think that he is the best player in the league, and he has to be dethroned ultimately. I think what's interesting about the NBA is that normally the best player in the league debate is something that spans multiple seasons. When you have Jordan, he was the best player in the league from like 87 to like 98, basically, and just had a reign. When it came to LeBron, LeBron had a reign from like, I would say maybe 08, 07, 08 to like 2019 or so. Just the best, bar none. But now I think it's going to change year to year. I think that if Durant got past Giannis, he would have been the best player in the league. Everybody would have been saying that. If Anthony Davis was still healthy, people would be saying that LeBron James was the best player in the league.
Yeah.
Because the team would have been able to progress. So it's going to be season to season, but for now, he's my best player of the league.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I think Giannis is unquestionably king of the hill right now. But the best player in the league conversation, because of how talented the league is so messy. But I think if you look at what Giannis did this postseason, considering the fact that he's able to put up the numbers that he did offensively while adding the defensive value that he does, because I think it's between him, KD, and Bron right now for best player in the league. And I think that he can score as much as those two players, if not maybe as effectively sometimes from the perimeter, but he's still shooting 60%. So who cares? Yeah. But he adds way more defensive value than both of those players do. So I think this season will be kind of a changing of the guard potentially, because LeBron wasn't really healthy this season. So we'll have to see what he has going into next season, because his performance in the bubble was fantastic. So it would be short-sighted of us to just be like, well, he was injured, and if we just subject ourselves to being prisoners of the moment and then just crown Giannis the same way we crown Kawhi, the same way we crown Steph. Like it's just the recency bias, but ultimately LeBron was always the guy. So we have to kind of
Yeah.
see if he's going to be that guy next season and what the Lakers look like going into the season following this one. But Giannis has thrust himself into the conversation, because I don't think he was in that conversation even 4 weeks ago. so, so you
Because
saw
of the
him
narrative.
but you also saw him incredibly, which I've never seen, become a better player as the playoffs went on. Like he
Yeah.
continually got better. He continually learned what defenses were doing and figured out a way to continuously exploit them, because Giannis versus the Nets and Giannis versus the Suns are two completely different players. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what's going into the next season. I do tune in possibly next week. I do want to have a conversation about the worth of Giannis's titles, but we have such a packed show. We're gonna have to keep it moving on to other topics.